Okay, I hear that we're good to go now, so we'll call this meeting of the Facilities Committee to order at 6:38 PM. Can I get a roll call, please?
Hanauer, Friedman,
Here.
Locke,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Vanek Theranot, Wilson,
Here.
Furtado,
Here.
Greer, Lockshin.
Here. All right, we have quorum. Can I get an approval for the agenda and addenda for tonight's meeting? Moved by Smith, seconded by Locke. All in favor? Aye. All right, and an approval of the minutes for February 6, 2024 meeting. Let's take a look to this side of the room. Hanauer, Friedman moves. Oh, Smith, I saw your hand, second. All right. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Do we have any public participation for this session? I don't see any members of the public here, so I'm going to move on from that. Any board communications? Yeah. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Dana, for the tour today. Really appreciate you organizing the ILES tours. Very informative. A lot of cool stuff going on there. And anyway, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll add on to that as well. For anybody who happens to be streaming this meeting at home, now that we're live streaming, the members of the facilities committee took an ILES facility tour before the meeting tonight. So we saw all the fantastic work they're doing there to remodel the facility, all the classrooms and boardrooms and everything that they've got available, basically as a community resource for a lot of different groups, in addition to the work they do. So thank you for organizing that for us. All right, Jennifer.
Also, since we're live streaming, I would never encourage any of us not to go to the COW next week. However, if any member of the public would like to go to the United States Postal Service meeting about the potential changes at the Mattis Avenue facility, that will be 6 p.m. on the 12th, and I encourage every member of the public who can go to go, and possibly any of us that want to skip the COW. So that we still have quorum.
You're saying we have a choice?
I'm only vice
But Stephanie, there's a meeting Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other communications? All right, moving on to new business. We'll start with update on ITB 2022-008 County Plaza Renovation Project. We have Carla Smalley from Bailey Edward and, sorry, I'm calling you Brian Russo. Austin Barton is, no, not today. So update on that project. Thank you. And Carla, just hit the button on there before you start.
Yep, no problem. Can you hear me? Great. Yeah, Austin had a team building function tonight, so he was not able to join us. So I will try and go through some of the pictures and our progress, probably be fairly quickly. As you can see here, this is the parking plaza deck that's on the east side of the building. They have been cutting the joints and prepping to put a new traffic coating down and then restripe this area. I think you'll see some limited parking here, and I think that we'll be relocating some of that parking in the next month as well. Sprinkler, I'm going to say sprinkler piping, but so some of the piping going in the basement. Fire suppression, yep. Yep. The cleared out and renovated mechanical room. He gave me all the really sexy shots tonight. So, again, yeah, lots of infrastructure. Okay, so then, so this is the west side of the building, where you can see the new panels are going on between the 4th and 5th floor. That's right here, if you can see the cursor. The other ones, this is just the wood blocking behind, and there's the wood blocking behind the panels that will eventually get installed. This side has received all new curtain wall, and I believe they've completed the north side and even the east side, that southeast corner. I think they're turning the corner right now. On the east, on that southeast side, yeah. And then they'll be working across the south side of the building, replacing all of that curtain wall as well. Close-up shot. There is the south elevation of the building. That looks like that southeast corner. That is east, isn't it? Yep. That's that southeast corner that they've been working on. About to turn the corner. And that looks like the east side as well. So some good progress there. They've been setting cabinets. We've got some of our flooring installed, as you can see, carpets installed. This is likely on 4. Some of the sheriff's offices. New restrooms with the fixtures installed. Again, I think this is the corridor on 4, the carpet. They'll be moving down to 3 to get as far as flooring goes. This is the operable partition on the first level between the Putnam and, Shields Carter, yes, room. The contractor commented this is probably the nicest folding door he's ever installed.
So
It is.
that wood there is a folding door?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. So that way you can open up the 2 conference rooms if you have a large public gathering, or if there's, early voting, you can shut that off. They can use that front conference room, and or that is your private conference room for breakout sessions. And there it is in the shut position. And that's everything. It is. It's really coming together.
Any questions for Carla on those? It's looking really nice. Thank you. We can move on to discussion and approval of change orders for ITB 2022-008 County Plaza Renovation Project. We've got those starting on page 19 in our packets.
You want me to go through them? Okay. So the first one you'll see is for change order 30. This is for the south canopy, and I think we had talked about this briefly at the last meeting that we were going to see this one. There is some storm piping that we found that was not sloping in the correct direction, so this is to correct that drainage issue. It's also to run new electric to some of the outlets that were in that canopy area. And then additionally some lights. We were going to go ahead and replace the lights now that we've got all the tile and the panels down. And then it was also to install some heat trace on the roof drain lines in that area. I think that was it.
Just so you know, the roof drain actually drains into the building, and the problem with it was almost going the other direction. It had no heat trace on it, so you get some rain and then freezing weather, it was going to cause us a problem down the road. So that needed to be handled. They came up with a good solution, so.
Is there any issue with us just discussing all of these and doing them as a, yeah,
There's one?
omnibus? Okay, go ahead and go on to the next one.
Sure. So the 31 is to replace or provide a new pressure tank. The existing bladder at the pressure tank was discovered to be broken. I think, again, I think we talked briefly about this the last time. So that's change order number 31. And then 32 is a credit back to the project for, there was a certain number of televisions that we had identified that we wanted the contractor to install. The county was going to provide them. The contractor was going to install them. We've decided to cut back on the number of display panels, televisions that were going to be installed. So this is a credit back to the project for not installing those panels. And that's really it.
Any questions? Ms. Furtado? Oh, sorry.
One question I have is, in previous iterations, we had that one nice summary sheet with like the pluses and minuses, and I'm a visual person, so I missed that summary sheet. Can we just have that again? Yeah, it's just really helpful. It has them all listed, and you can see the number going back and forth. I like that a lot.
I can tell you with these additions, both the credit and the expenses, we're at 1.2 million right now in change orders, which is not an insignificant number, obviously. We budgeted approximately 930,000 and some change. We obviously have exceeded that. However, we're also aware that we have some funding available. When we sold the bonds, that money is invested. So to date, we've earned about $744,000 in interest that could go towards the project, which I would say needs to cover the overages and change orders. So.
And that, to be clear, that number is on here, so I do appreciate that, but it's just the whole list is, yeah, that's the only thing, yeah, cool.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I was just wondering, on the total contract cost, that does not include the 10% we normally give for overrun, correct? We're at, normal contract price was 18.8 mil, and 10% overrun would put us at 20.7, so we're still within any 10%, correct? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing no others, can I get a motion to approve these change orders? Ms. French Thurnott, second by Locke. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Oh, might as well leave that on. Yep, and then we'll get an update on ITB 2023-005 County Plaza Elevator Renovation Project.
Yes, so we met again with the Otis Elevator this afternoon. They have now identified that the machine for Elevator 1 should be shipping and on-site in the first week of May. Yeah, and then they would be on-site May 27th, 28th, yeah, somewhere, yeah, the end of May, basically, to install all that. And then elevators 2 and 3, the machines for 2 and 3 would follow that, probably in June. We're trying to push that along as quickly as possible, though.
Yeah, it's just a reminder that they've, it told us through the bidding process and just about every meeting we've had on so far that their construction and renovation time is approximately 14 weeks per elevator. So we continue to advise them that they need to do their best efforts to compress the schedule because 14 weeks is not going to work for us. So if that's what it is, it's what it is. But we'll do our best to pressure them and get them to, hopefully make it happen a little bit faster. They're going to give you a larger number to make sure they can get it done. And so I'm hopeful that once they get here, and then once, they install one of the elevators and they kind of get a rhythm going with how our building is and what they need to do, because all three are the same, that they'll be able to shave some time off the other two.
Ms. Locke?
Back when they first bid on it, and we had chosen, the 14 weeks per, they had provided an option that they told us don't take, to have a second shift to make things go faster. And they said, don't take this option because they don't have it available, correct?
Not quite right.
Okay.
It was available, so they could shave, with the second shift, they could shave 5 weeks off of the total project at a cost of approximately $70,000. So we said up front on the first day, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to go with this, but you need to find a way to, expedite and to compress your schedule down to more manageable for us, so.
Okay, just one other question. So the first one's going to be delivered in late May, and you said the others will follow in June. Where on site will they be stored, the machines, when they're in June but not being?
We'll work that out
Okay.
when we get there. I imagine they will be somewhere on that lower level parking deck, and/or I imagine they'll probably actually want to put them on the roof right away.
Correct. They'll have to have a large crane here because that heavy equipment is going up to the roof. Everything else will be stored inside the building for the most part, I suspect. Braun Russo will be, ramping down the construction project through the month of June. We'll be into a punch list in July. Fencing protection will be gone probably by the end of July. So Otis is going to have to utilize the interior of the building to store their materials and so forth. So, but the big stuff's going up to the roof anyway, so once it gets there, it'll be fine.
Mr. Smith?
Dana, what's like installation and testing time? Because later on in the agenda, we're talking about moving and the request for pricing.
Yeah, it's 14 weeks for everything, so from, pulling it apart to the installation, through testing, balancing, and then, state approval.
Thank you.
Now, is there still any discussion of maybe the sheriff's office or moving in with one elevator in place, or is that timeline still in place for that?
That is our goal. There's a bit of a side turn, if you will. So when the elevator is done, it's the largest elevator. It's the elevator will move all of the equipment that's moving into each of the floors from 1 through 5. So furniture, files, desks, all that kind of stuff's got to go through there. Once that's done, it's approved. We've been given a certificate of operation and certificate to occupy the building. It'll be on a limited basis because the public elevators aren't working yet. We'll move the sheriff's street crew in to the lower level. The sheriff can't move until the public elevators. We talked about that, and the sheriff reminded us that the public has to access his office, so we can't move until we can move public up and down the building. So, but we also talked about adding IT. We can get the servers moved over. We can get IT moved in the building. They don't see the public. There's a few other folks. I think we can move some of our shop into there. With the sheriff's office occupying the lower level, we'll have to have at least one custodian over here at the Bennett building to start taking care of it. And with construction ongoing, we're going to make sure that it's clean and stays clean. So,
Ms. Furtado?
just so that I make sure that I understand this, it's 14 weeks, but consecutively, right? So 14, then 14, then 14. So I think to your point, the timing, based on what you just said about the sheriff's office, looking ahead to the timing on the moving proposal is not accurate. Like that, because they have the, like, so I think that that needs to be, that conversation needs to happen. Because it's, the way I figure it, it's that's March. If you do that math, that's March of next year, and there is no public elevator until November.
That's correct. There'll be one public elevator by November. We just, like Carla said, we met with them today and found out new information that the equipment we were told at the last meeting 2 weeks ago was going to be here in the end of April, and they could get started May 1st. Now we were told it's not arriving at the building until the 27th. So that was new information. So yes, I did the math too, and that's March, and we will pound our chest and stand up and ask them to, do what they can to expedite. But again, they were low bidder. We're in a precarious position, unfortunately. So we'll do our best to, shorten this down if we can. They've got to cooperate.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you on that one. We can move on to update on the courthouse parking lot access control project.
So I think good news on that. We did talk to our contractor. They are prepared to actually begin next week. I haven't had a chance to talk to Dana about this, but I did talk to the contractor this afternoon, or my team did, and they're ready to start next week if that works for the county. So we have some scheduling to work out with that. There's about 3 parking spaces that they'll need to take control of to do that. But I think that project, I think you'll see a lot of progress very quickly on that one.
Yeah, that project should not take that long, basically a month from start to completion. They can start next week. I need to know which 3 spots
Okay.
that they need to take. We have, I think we mentioned this several meetings back, but with this project, the lot holds 110 spots. With this project, we're going to be losing 10 spaces. So we've not backfilled as staff have left and moved on. We've not backfilled those 10 spaces, so we don't have a problem when we finish this project. So we have space that we can move the 3 to during this period of time. Okay, so the lot will still be usable for both staff and ADA during construction. It's just the entrance from the south side of the lot will not be available until more of the project comes done. They'll have to dig into the asphalt and run control wire and electricity and then put back with concrete. So that entrance will be shut off for at least 2, probably 3 weeks.
Did you have a question?
No, I
Mr.
was
McDermott?
just saying next week would be great because it's spring break for the entire campus, so you'll probably find plenty of people who are okay with you taking their spot. You'll be here anyway.
Any other questions, comments on the parking lot renovation project? Access control, I guess I should say. No, that's it then. Thank you, Carla. Well, moving on to update on ITB 2022-009, the satellite jail consolidation. We have Chris from Reefs Decorate and Matt from PJ Her Construction. Little technical issue. Oh, here we go. Oh, could we hit the microphone button? Thank you.
Sorry. Yep, this first picture is of the new generator and generator pad on the south side of the building. All right, this photo is one of the main corridors, and the purpose of this documented picture is to show a lot of the mechanical and utility and plumbing, electrical work that's going through those areas. This is on the north side. This is the security pod. You'll see a picture of a finished version of this in a second. But this is where primarily the officers will be sitting, and they have a radial view of every cell in each pod. This is a bunk in a cell being constructed, so it's basically masonry with concrete lids. Here's another security area in the med ISO area. Again, on the north side. It's a picture of the brick work. We've installed the brick on the south and the east side of the building. Another view where the building connects to the outdoor rec, which is connected to the existing facility further to the left of this photograph. Here's a picture of the east side. Oh, I'm sorry, the south side. Kind of zoomed out, like if we were kind of looking from this building over at the jail. Now here we're on the south side, so you can see everything is much more finished on that side. You can see that same corridor with all the MEP utilities running above. Now you can see where we have the security mesh, and it's getting ready to receive the ceiling tile, or I'm sorry, the drywall ceiling tile. So this is showing the skylights that are coming through I believe that's a rec area.
I think it's exercise room.
What is it?
Exercise room.
Exercise room. So plenty of skylights, natural light in that room. Oh, don't want to do that. Again, you can see a cell area, a pod, and these are a different style than the ones you saw on the north side. But you can see this is kind of their day room area, and the finished ceilings in the area, and the skylight, and then the individual cells. This cell has pretty much got everything installed in it except for the flooring. Once it's installed, then the bottom bunk will be fastened to the floor. This area is the old outdoor rec yard, which we turned into an indoor rec yard as part of this project. So this is all new roof system above where it was previously open. And then the staircase to the roof. So we've got a spiral staircase for roof access. Sorry it took me so long to get these photos open. But the overall progress, basically the south side, we're getting ready to start all the epoxy flooring and the security electronic systems and finishing out the hardware. So most of the major construction is done, and we're well into the finishing stages. The north side, we're starting to paint. We've got the overhead rough in, a majority of it complete, and we'll probably progress through the north side quicker since we're doing the same thing that we did on the south side. So that's where we're at in the project.
Any questions, comments?
Yes. Excuse me, just for curiosity, in the cell, there were 2 shelves. What does each shelf, what's the function of each of those? Does that make sense to you, my question? If you go back to the cell picture.
Yeah, you bet.
Yes, that one.
Well, I believe it's because we have 2 inmates in the room.
Oh, is that right? 2 inmates?
Yeah, these 2 particular shelves,
they're
if that's
it's
what
a
you're
bunk.
talking about. This one here is a bed bunk. So, yeah.
Yeah, the 2 little shelves right by the window. I guess that's a window.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And the one below is a desk.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Any other questions, comments?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we did have an OSHA inspection, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? And so it went really well. We met with them and did a walk through the site and an inspection, and we had no corrective actions to make. Kind of the way with OSHA, that takes them a little bit to finalize the reporting. But we had a good discussion after the walk, and it was a very positive experience, and it went very well. So we wanted to give everyone an update on that as from a safety concern and perspective on the job. When we get that report back, we'll send it over to Dana and Chris.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I saw that we'll have the minority workforce participation data. We got it from Rowan Russo, but the PJ Her will be coming. It's with the payroll timing works out so that we didn't have that in time for this meeting.
That's correct. So with the early meetings in the month, and next month is even earlier, it's the 2nd, it's very difficult for these guys, plus Born Russo, to get those reports done. You know, they wait till the end of the month, and they don't get the information from their subs till the end of the month. So it's so next month we will get February's. You know, the following month you'll get March's. So we'll really be kind of 2 months behind, but they'll be included in your packet. They'll be included in the information that's posted online. It's going to be.
The way our payroll works, today ended last week, which was still in February. So for the certified payrolls, the system to actually to report, we have to be done with that week. So we'll get them to you later this week. I think shouldn't be a problem. So
Okay. I have a suggestion. How we handle this with a lot of other reports that we get, whether it's the treasurer's report, the auditor's report, the report from reentry, is we have a link. It says, like, it'll say the kind of report, and then there's the link on the website to where they are. Maybe that would, since the timing doesn't seem like it is ever going to be great, maybe that would be a way to handle it. So therefore, it would be less pressure for y'all to have to actually put them in the packet, but anybody from the public who wanted to be able to find it, it would be like clearly the link. And that's how we handle, I don't know, probably half a dozen, more than that, reports that the board already gets. How would you feel about something like that?
I'll talk to both Michelle and Steve, but from my understanding, it needs to be in the packet and be discussed at the meeting to be included as in the minutes or in the agenda packet. So I actually told that to Steve earlier in the week, but we'll run that down. Well, actually, I'll reach out to Matt Bannock, just double check with that and follow up with Michelle and Steve.
So would it make sense to say, I'm just using this as an example for timing, like to have had like January numbers in the March report and February numbers in the April report and plan it that way instead of trying to rush you and get February numbers in the March report? Can we plan for February in next month's facilities meeting in April? That makes sense? Okay. Oh, Ms. Furtado.
And unless I misunderstood or it was mischaracterized, the last report we got from Baird Russo was dated January 1st, where the last report we got from Hauer was dated January 31st. So for one, unless that was not what the actual dates were, one is actually, like, I think we are missing January and February at this point. And then for one, we have January fully. So, right, so it even seems like we're off sync with the two of them. But I think that that's a good idea.
So, yeah, the report we'll be providing Dana later this week will be for the month of February, for the past month. You're right.
I'll check it out and see what, and if it didn't, we'll get it included.
All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, we can move on to the change orders. Discussion and approval of change orders for ITB 2022-009 Satellite Jail Consolidation Project. 29 and 30 are on pages 36 and 37 of your packet. If you want to go through both of those, we can look at these as an omnibus as well.
Sure. Change order 29 was a result of coordination meeting between hardware suppliers, jail staff, and contractors and architects to coordinate the door hardware and some security changes that needed to be made. That was for $6,524.08. Change order 30 is to provide additional isolation valves and flush valves for the geothermal field to help with maintenance of that field. That dollar amount is $2,823.21.
Mr. Smith?
I was just making the motion to approve the,
I was gonna, yeah, did anybody have any questions or concerns about those first, or? Okay, then, go ahead. Oh, sorry, motion to approve those, any second? Ms. Finish or not? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, those are approved. Thank you. So now we have, I'm assuming this would be Mr. Brenner here, update on the programming study of public defender space at the courthouse.
Okay, so as we know, once the project is done, public defender will be moving out of the courthouse and into the Bennett building. Whenever that move date occurs, there's been lots of discussion within the courthouse about who would like to occupy space. So as part of actually our contract with Bailey Edwards, we built this into their fee structure. They would help us perform a programming statement for the space in the courthouse. So we have begun that process. We have met with 3 department heads and some staff members to date. Today we met with the state's attorney, met with the sheriff's office on court security yesterday, and the day before, and Friday was circuit clerk's office. We've got probation upcoming. We will be talking to public defender. It's our understanding that she is interested in trying to keep 2 offices at least in her former space. Reason being that she'd like the space is, one, there will be no court security at the Bennett building initially, perhaps down the road for the future. And when they have clients that they are concerned about, they want to be able to meet with them in a facility where court security is located. So, and the second office will be used on a day-to-day basis for staff working in the building in court, needing something on a computer, so there'll be a printer there, a fax machine, whatever else. It's you know, it's just smart, good business for the public defender to be able to have that. So, and we'll kind of put that information together, give that back to each of them as they've kind of related to us, allow them to check it and to make sure that, you know, we'll list square footages and so forth for what they've kind of talked to us about. We're looking, you know, what do they need now? What do they need in 5 years, 10 years? Why do they need that? Why do they feel like they need that? So we have some ability to make some decisions down the road. It won't be just a willy-nilly, and it won't be just, you know, we're going to take care of the sheriff first and then this person. We've got limited space within the facility. There is no funding for it, I will also mention, initially. So each of those groups have been informed of that. There is an opportunity down the road in '26 when bonds are paid off for the county. They could sell more bonds if that's the direction they wanted to go, to put together a project. It's also possible maybe that if there's a sale tax referendum, there might be funding available somewhere down the road as well, maybe as early as '25. You know, nothing is promised. There's certainly nothing in writing on any of this, but we at least are working on a programming plan so that when the time comes and there's resources available, we can maximize the space and put it the best use we can for the courthouse. It's 23, almost 24 years old. You know, the staffs that are in the building have been enlarged and increased. There's limitations within the building because of how the building was built in terms of the old building, the 1904 or 5 building. So it'll be interesting. It's a good programming study. Folks have been really good about giving their best thoughts, not only about their area, but the building in general, which we appreciate. So I think we're getting some good information, and this process will take us a month or two, and we'll be able to hand off to Steve and Michelle, and eventually the facility committee, as well as the board, basically the final document. So, questions?
Stephanie?
I'm going to ask you a very unfair and borderline ridiculous question. Do you have any sense of the range of funding that we're talking about needing? Like I
Yeah.
said, unfair and ridiculous question.
Yeah, I mean, construction's expensive, especially when you're talking about a courthouse. You know, remodeling is a little bit different than building new, but it's all expensive. The building, you know, I forgot we had a meeting with the judicial too, so there's the fourth group, presiding judge and Lori. You know, they're adding a 13th judge, and of course they want a courtroom. They're going to be okay sharing initially. It'd be really difficult to put a courtroom in the old building where the public defender was. Why is that? Well, if you're going to have jury trial and inmates, there's no way to get inmates into the courtroom without going into the public space, which is never a good sign. If they have to arrest somebody, which happens quite frankly in courtrooms, you're going to have to take them back out through the public area. Another not so good thing to happen. So there's a lot of challenges with it. And I'm not advocating this, but the building was designed to be opened up to the east, which causes you some other problems because now you're taking parking. So there's lots of challenges, but you know, I think we'll come out of it with you know, at least a plan to get us down the road and until you know there's more expansion with personnel and the legislature says, yeah, I want to add more judges. So.
I guess my question is more public defender specific than former public defender space specific, but with all the additions that we've approved to that office in staff, is the space in the Bennett building still sufficient for their needs?
Yeah, they've got more offices than they currently have, and they have sufficient space. They can still add both, I want to say clerical, but administrative assistants, clerks. They have the ability for, you know, students, if they're got a grad student or something coming on, there's areas for those folks to be able to be at as well. So there's space.
Any other questions there? All right. So then move on to discussion and approval of the moving RFP for county offices to the Bennett building, Bennett Administration Center. I know it's already been pointed out that the dates are not accurate on there, but we can learn more about the process here.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to talk to Michelle today about our meeting on the elevator, so my apology.
We can always amend the RFP, so, and I kind of anticipate that we will no matter what. Even if I change them now, we're still going to be amending them. There's a point where we just need to get something out and need to start talking to companies. And my biggest question is, I do think that an all-at-once move will be significantly less expensive than a staggered move, and I'd like to get an idea of what that savings is going to be, because if it's significant, we need to have some serious conversations about what we're wanting to put our money towards and how we want to schedule this, but we can't do that yet because we don't have any numbers at this point, so.
So what are we looking at for a revised date?
I mean, I would probably, it sounded like you said the first public elevator won't be done until November. So probably bumping, I mean, I think in terms of the RFP, we would, at minimum, the public defender would have to move into November if we did the staggered schedule. And that would push everyone else down a month. The sheriff's office would probably, we could maybe talk about the moving company doing the first floor, the bottom level sheriff's people in October, and then doing the fourth floor sheriff's people in November when there's an elevator. So, I mean, a 2-month adjustment. Which I guess we could amend it now, and I could put it out as that, so.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, Michelle, I was just kind of wondering on the elevator, when we talked about the sheriff, he would need a public elevator as well, which is the second, that's number 2 and 3, correct, Dana? So you're looking at 28 weeks before you get a public elevator. And my question is, for the public defender, wouldn't they need a public elevator?
Well, isn't the estimate now that one of the public elevators will be done by November? So if the only public entity we have is the public defender, one public elevator should be sufficient. We don't need to move all of the sheriff's 4th floor offices in November. We could move like the lieutenants and the captains and the chief stuff who don't necessarily interact with the public, and leave the front desk clerical people in the current building until both of the public elevators are functioning.
Okay, just making sure we understand that pinch point.
Yeah. Oh, no, we're very aware of a lot of pinch points. Yeah, yeah.
Stephanie?
If you do that and you bump everything a month or 2 months, for the last thing, which is the clerk's selection division, how does that
So I would
impact
probably remove that as a separate month, and it would just go with the clerk's office.
Because
when-
that would
Yeah.
run into the municipal election at that point,
Well, we would
wouldn't
probably
it?
even need to move them to we would just move them, the entire clerk's office, in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because early voting wouldn't start till February, right? Isn't the municipals are normally March, April? 25 days. I just don't know what the actual election date is, the municipal for next year.
Well, it's going to depend if there's a primary, which unlikely, that's a gamble, but I think one we could kind of schedule that there won't be a primary, so then the election would be in April.
Are you pulling up the state board? Yeah. Any other questions, comments on that? Well, Ms. Locke pulls up. Nothing yet? Okay.
Won't there be a primary, though? Aren't there 2 Democrats running for mayor in Urbana next year?
I mean, yeah. I don't think that's enough to trigger a primary. It's also weird, you have to have so many options to trigger a consolidated primary. So I'd have to go refresh that part of my brain, but I don't think 2 Democrats running for mayor in Urbana is enough to trigger a primary.
If anybody else wants to look, I'm striking out on the dates.
It's probably not really posted yet. Because they probably don't have the 2025 election calendar out at this point, so. The staggered thing is not set in stone, right? The idea would be we want you to give us a quote if we move different offices between November and January, and we can mess around with what offices are when, so.
Stephanie?
Can we approve this RFP and just say and grant you all the ability to adjust the dates as needed?
I think so, because the financial policy just says that you as the committee need to approve the RFP before it goes out. So I think as long as we all have a clear understanding that those months are going to get tweaked and then that's what's going to be released, I think we're fine.
Might be, it might be helpful to include within that, I guess, we do it for our larger bids and our smaller ones, but a kind of a pre-bid conference with anybody who would show
Yeah, we
up.
have a walkthrough, so they will come and we will walk them through so they can see for themselves the spaces and the stuff so that there's no dispute over if they felt they got factual information before they supplied a quote, and we don't have any debates over additional costs or something like that, so. Yeah, that's tentatively, because again, it could be amended, but right now it's scheduled for the end of March.
Mr. Wilson?
Thank you. A couple questions. Either one wholesale move or staggered move. And I think is our thought, I mean, does it really matter how it's staggered or when it's staggered, just as long as it's accomplished, I suppose? There's not really a real priority then, it's just, you're just choosing one versus the other, does it really matter?
Well, the reason for asking for the two separate quotes was to see if there's a significant cost benefit to doing one move all at once. That's logistically not the preferred choice. I would much rather, and what I had kind of gravitated towards in the staggered schedule was a floor at a time. So I would much rather do it that way, but I don't think it's fiscally responsible for us to not find out if we're spending a significant amount of money doing it that way, that we should at least find out what the quote would be for moving everybody all at once over a 1 week period or something like that.
Okay, because, I mean, does it take a week to move a floor?
Well,
A
I mean, I would
month?
think of it in terms of like, pick an office, like, okay, Monday we're moving, everyone on the 4th floor, right? So that's Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday, we're moving all of the 2nd floor. So not, the whole government won't be shut down for a week, but I would imagine it's going to take at least 5 to 10 days of the dealing with the movers to get everyone moved.
Okay. I don't know, I'm just asking, just
You
curious.
know what, I spend a lot of
Yeah.
time talking to myself
You're
at
probably
my desk about
noodling
this.
forever, and
so-
there's a million options and
Yeah.
whatever. If it's staggered move, how is the payment made? Is it made one lump sum or progress payments?
I think if we stretch it out over a couple of months, we would probably negotiate into the contract that we would pay a portion monthly. Or if the bidder's fine with just pay us all at once at the end, we can do that too. I think it's gonna kind of depend on what they are requesting.
And is retainage needed for this? Probably not, right?
I think that probably to be on the safe side, because we will build a very tenuous house of cards on the moving schedule, that once we decide on the bidder, we might want to put down a security deposit to maintain them.
Do we want to call that out in the RFP that a security deposit is needed, or I probably missed that, I think.
I think that's maybe more of a post-award conversation
Okay.
that we would build into the contract if we both sides felt that was necessary.
And then liability for damage to the Bennett building due to the move, how is that taken care of?
So it's pretty much all on them. I have a clause that we will inspect after every department is moved in, and any noted damage the repair will be deducted from the final payment that we make to them.
Okay, and then another question on the lump mass move, whatever it is, right? Let's say it's January or February, or elevators take another 6 months to show up, whatever it's going to happen. Is there a defined start date? So if I say I'm going to do this move in January, can I start in October? Or can I stretch it out forever? Or to say, you must finish this within 30 days? You know why I'm asking
Oh, I
that?
see what you're saying. No, we would have a defined start date. Part of that would be, I think we need to start talking to moving companies, because I'd like to hear from some professionals once they
Yeah.
see the scope of what we have. And we said, if we wanted to do it all at once, how long would that take you to do? You know, so, and I think that would become our benchmark of like, okay, well, that's fine. So if we're doing the mass move, you know, from this date, you said it would take you this long, so that's how long it's gonna take, and that's gonna be what the contract says.
Yeah,
Barring weather and
weather, all kinds of
unforeseen
stuff, bad day,
circumstances.
and it,
Yeah,
sometimes, okay, well, I'm gonna do this project, and finish the end of January, and I'm gonna move one box in October, so now you gotta pay me, I did the one box in October, and then I'm not gonna do anything more until, can't imagine that happening, but it might be nice to know what the window is, right? The move
Yeah.
window.
we will definitely have a very set window, and any deviation from that window would require written agreement from us that we're gonna be outside that window.
And then last question, I hope is the last question. There's a caveat to say who's moving what. So certain people are out of their department, it's the no-touch thing, you can't touch that, we're moving that, stuff like that. So with the sheriff's department, do we need to make a call out for firearms or anything like that? Or the sheriff's moving them and the movers don't move them, et cetera?
So the sheriff's office does have a couple of rooms of things that only either deputies will move, or there's even some things that only the evidence record clerk and the sheriff will be moving. There's some things where the movers can move, but we'll have like lieutenants like walking
Oversight,
with
watching
them
them,
the
yeah.
entire time. So we've definitely started thinking through those logistics of trying to abide by the law, but keep our staff from physically moving as much as possible. But there will be a couple things that are going to be a pain in the butt to deal with, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Mr. Smith?
That just kind of brought to mind the IT stuff from a cybersecurity. The county's going to pack all that equipment up and unpack it, but they can move it, right?
Yeah, so not only from cybersecurity, but also just to like make sure it gets packed securely, because it's quite expensive, and it'd be a big problem if, all of our live streaming equipment went down or something. So yeah, the plan is that IT would pack our servers, our major tech stuff in the manner that they want to be packed, and the movers will physically move it. And like the sheriff's office, if it gets to a point where we want to say this IT person is following with this stuff and it needs to be in their site, we could do that, yeah.
Ms. Furtado, sorry.
On page 12 of your RFP, on section 2, A, I, instead of it saying within, it says withing.
It's a little old English for you.
Well, just since we've been looking at it, I don't usually see things like.
It's spelled correctly though for withing.
Okay, anything else on ye old RFP? Okay, so then oh, sorry, Mr. Wilson.
Well, I just said hopefully, so, there you go. It's probably already here. So the person has to be bonded, all that other stuff that's in the, okay, thanks. Thank you.
All right, then we need ooh, Stephanie? Oh, you're okay, you're looking for something. Motion to approve the RFP. Ooh. We got Mr. Smith moved and Ms. Locke approved, or seconded, sorry. All those in favor of approving this RFP to be released? Any opposed? All right. Thank you. I have no other business. Any other business? I think we're good. Next meeting will be April 2nd. Right, that's very early. 2024 at 6:30 PM here in the Shields Carter Room. Items to be placed on the consent agenda are 6B, 6F, and then 6H. That would be it. Yes, so we are adjourned at 7:44 PM. Thank you all.
I don't think H needs to go to the full board. The policy is just that you as the facilities committee need to approve it. So,
Okay,
I
so
mean, I'm happy to talk about it with the full board, but we just,
Well, I don't think we even talk about consent agenda. It's just on. We approved it, so.
They would approve it, the bid.